part 1, part 2.
Alrighty.
Okay, so when you're placing the sealant, less is more, and you just want to put it in the pits and the fissures. I don't know. I've never used this pink kind.
There's
Is there?
this pink kind is really fun. It's called Clinpro, and it goes on pink so that you can see exactly where you're putting it. And you'll see in a minute once she cures it, it will turn white. So it's a nice visual.
So don't look at the light.
It's like a bug light. You can't help but want to stare at it.
And this goes on for 30. The light is 30 seconds, or is it a minute?
30 seconds is the minimum. Usually if we're doing a molar, we'll do it for a minute.
Okay. It does happen if you look at the light for too long.
It just will deteriorate your eyes over time.
And then sometimes if you get too much, that little brush thing that I used, I don't know what it's called, you can kind of like move the material around a little bit, but you have to be careful because there's more of a risk of it failing because you could have picked up saliva along the way, and saliva is the enemy.
You can make air bubbles in it if you play around with it too much. And then you have to go back in afterwards and fill in your air bubbles.
We had an issue on Big Kids Smile Day where the kid would not stop closing his mouth, so the sealant was too high, and Mrs. made sure he had to remove some material so his bite was normal.
So then after one click, I think it's 30 seconds, and after another
Yeah,
click.
whatever's set on the machine. Actually, that one's set on
okay.
60, so you're pretty good.
Okay. And then, what's it, the ACE inhibited layer? Is that what it's called? You just wipe that off with
Feel it first
Oh, okay.
with your, I've got a kit right behind you. You feel it with a sterile explorer because you don't want to contaminate it with anything in case it pops off.
So you want to go like to the edges, you know, where like there could be. Feels pretty good. And then you wipe that little layer off. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I have a Q-tip there for you. There's a layer of sealant that hangs out on the top that is uncured, and it's really bitter if your patient bites down on it.
And then after this, so after you place, I think the sealant's in a quadrant, then you have that paper, the blue paper, which I don't know.
There's some back there. I think in the middle one.
In this one? And then you're gonna have them bite on it, and then if it's like high in an area and it like occludes their bite, there's gonna be like a little blue mark on the tooth. So like, I mean, like yeah, if that wasn't supposed to be like that, obviously that's actual tooth, but there would be like a little blue like spot wherever it was like too high on the sealant.
It's normal to have marks on the cusps, but you don't want marks on the sealant. That means it's too high.
And then, did you want me to do A and B, or? Okay.
Yeah, and then you would floss it.
Oh yeah.
In the real mouth, you would floss it.
Yeah. And in the real mouth, it's a lot more difficult, unfortunately. It's been a while since I've done this. Which one goes in A and which one goes in B? Okay, so the bottles are labeled. You put those in there. You do the same prep process, so if you hadn't already, you can also, if you're really good, you can etch a few teeth at a time, but that, you know, that's kind of difficult.
We don't like you to do that right away.
So you want to go ahead, so they all were pumiced already. Do you let them like pumice
They
everything?
can pumice multiple teeth at one time. They can just only seal one at a time.
Okay. So you etch it, you leave that on for 20 seconds. everything's good. Okay, so then with this one, so if I hadn't already used this, this is what you would be using, which I will. So do you mix both, like
Yeah, you bring it into.
one well? So I'm gonna take B into A. And you want equal parts of each. Oh, that's a lot. So if you can see, I already got a little bit too much and it's like kind of spilling out of the where it needs to be. All up there. Okay. And same thing with this one.
That one is chemical
Oh,
cured,
okay.
so it sits up on its own. And what you would do to determine whether it's set up or not is you would be feeling the leftover material in your well to see when it's set up. Okay, so I mean, obviously your kid is, or person is going to have their mouth open for quite some time, waiting on it to set up.
Yeah, the last time I used this was when I was in you guys' class.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to do a sealant with this so
Okay.
they can see the color difference?
So once again, red with sealant.
The particular material that Natasha's getting ready to use now is called Pulp Damp Wet Bond, and it allows for a little bit of moisture. So if you get a little bit of saliva, it's okay, but you don't want a flood. It won't work with a flood, but this one allows for just a little bit. So she's already pumice the tooth, and now she's etching it.
And the teeth do get pretty frosty white, so you'll be able to tell. These, not so much. Okay.
Hold that up real quick for them so they can see the color difference.
That's about right there.
See, it's not pink like that Clinpro was, it's white.
And now they're all just fun.
Longest minute. And when I first started doing sealants, I would do this really softly, but then if you place the sealant correctly, it won't. You can do it a little bit of pressure. Okay, so it looks good. Then you wipe the layer off, and then you want to check their bite, and then like that's normal on the cusps, and then you floss.
Okay, so let's do a indirect delivery. So basically we're just going to put a little sealant into a dabbing dish. Remember, don't overthink it, okay?
Can I use the brush for that? Or do you want me to use?
Yeah, you can use the brush.
Which one do I not use? I think it was. Ooh. Okay, 20 seconds.
It is possible when you're doing an indirect delivery that the overhead light could start to set up your sealant. So that's why I put a triangle over the top of the little dish. Especially if you're working in a place with a lot of sunlight. And that's also why with your sealant syringes, you want to use a red or black solid colored tip. That way no light will get into the syringe tip and set up in the syringe tip. And it's fine to use clear for etchant because etchant doesn't set up.
Oh yeah, this method would be difficult.
That one's kind of stained.
Do you guys do this in private practice?
Yes.
Or- oh,
Not indirect delivery
Oh.
usually.
okay.
Mine?
Yeah.
This is super helpful.
Okay, same thing. Looks normal, and then you floss, and you wet the layer, and then you're good.
Any questions?